Thank you so much, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really an incredible day, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. As I mentioned in an earlier part of our sessions today, this is Public Service Week, and what better way to celebrate Public Service Week than this event? On behalf of the College of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore, I am so pleased to welcome each and every one of you to our lunch and also to this very special presentation today to such an impressive leader of our William Donald Schaefer Award, Dr. Carla Hayden. I'm also given the task, but also the opportunity to recognize and thank some people who are with us here today. I always get nervous about this because I'm always afraid that I'm going to leave someone off, and so I'll just read the entire list of attendees. Joke. We do really have some very special guests with us today. I wanted to recognize Speaker of the House, Adrian Jones. Thank you for your attendance. We also have with us today Senator Corey McCray, who represents the 45th District. And I'll interject for a minute. Our special thanks to both of you for your support of all of the programs that we've talked about here today. We are eternally grateful, and you've done something absolutely beyond measure in supporting our work. Thank you so much. We also have with us today Delegate Jamila Woods. Delegate Woods? She may have stepped away. And with us also today is Helene Grady, Secretary of the Department of Budget and Management of the state of Maryland. Thank you. With us also are a host of past elected and appointed officials for the state of Maryland. I want to recognize each and every one, but I wanted to say thank you very much to each of you for being with us here today. Especially recognize our president at the University of Baltimore, Kurt Schmoke, who you also know as former mayor of the city of Baltimore, our special place of residence at the University of Baltimore. One other special shout out, because he wasn't in the room at the time, unfortunately, when I had a chance to say thanks, but I really want to recognize and thank Jim Smith. Jim, the work that you've done on our board, along with Bob Douglas, your work to support our center is without question extraordinary and so appreciated. We really appreciate it. And thanks to all the members of the Schaefer Center board who are with us. A couple more thanks, and then I have a couple remarks. I'm really, really pleased to look out in the audience and see my colleagues from the University of Baltimore, members of our leadership, deans like Dean Chris Spencer, members of our faculty of the College of Public Affairs, our students and our Schaefer Fellows made the trip down and to be with us in a in-person event, and what an in-person event it is with such great attendance. We really appreciate having you here today, and a special thanks to Pat Meekus for really actually putting together this event with Ann Cotton. Pat, you did an extraordinary amount of work here. We really appreciate it. So now I get to be semi-long-winded, but Ann will give me the hook if I am. The College of Public Affairs, and this is where I get to talk about my team a little bit, and I'm just so proud of our team. The College of Public Affairs is Maryland's only college that's completely dedicated to public service, and it includes schools that are devoted to public administration and policy, global affairs and human security, criminal justice, and health and human services. We also have a Center for Drug Policy and Prevention, and soon to be an additional center that is on the prevention of drugs themselves specifically. And of course, we have our GEM, the William Donald Schaefer Center for Public Policy, which is represented here today. Together, this college and all of its components, I'm proud to say, makes up among, if not the most comprehensive college dedicated to public service in the nation. And I say that because we have a diversity of degrees, not just public administration and government or nonprofits, but a diversity of 15 degrees, 9 graduate, 6 undergraduate, I can add some days, that are all, again, devoted to public service. We also have certificates and training programs that you're going to hear about as well. So we are really among the Kennedy School at Harvard, among the Andrew Young School at Georgia State. We are among the most comprehensive in nature across the nation. And that is, frankly, our team's gift to the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore. I will say on the thank you, and thanks for them. On the Schaefer Center, as you've seen in today's program, you have a Maryland gem. I'm pleased to work with Dr. Ann Cotton and her entire team. I thank our Schaefer Center board, our Schaefer Fellows, and the staff for their dedicated time and support to the work that's done in the Schaefer Center, which you're going to hear a little bit more about pretty soon from Ann Cotton. I want to say that truly the center is the type of a gem that reflects the light of public service all across our state and in several different dimensions. And again, Ann will say a little bit more. The center develops and runs research to improve public policy and administration in our state. The center provides training programs like the Certified Public Manager Program, which is very well represented here today. Well done to each and every one of you. That serves the work of in-service public service leaders, leaders who are in the middle of their organization aspiring to lead that organization. We do that type of training and others. And now you heard a little bit today about our exciting Next Gen program for leaders in public service that will bring about to the state of Maryland a very diverse set of experienced leaders into each of the fields of government and nonprofits. And we're very proud of that program and also the support of the Volcker Alliance. Emily Bolton, thank you so much for being with us today. The Next Gen program features paid internships which make exploring public service affordable and no longer an elite experience for just elite students. Let me conclude by saying what a special day this is for all of us. A lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of passion from our faculty, our staff, and our students go into making our state and our city better. We are an engaged University of Baltimore and a very engaged College of Public Affairs. Each one of our 4 colleges, law, business, the College of Arts and Sciences, and the College of Public Affairs, have an intention of pushing our students' boundaries outside of our campus into the city where they can learn. But we believe, and it's really true, that while they're learning, they're having an impact. They're improving things. They're making life better for citizens in our city and our state. And that is just amazing. And then the thing that makes all of us the proudest of all is when one of those students has that paid experience, they come back, and next thing you know, they find a light goes off. I didn't know that this agency exists. I didn't know that the city of Laurel, which we heard about today, has such special programs in the environment. Now I want to do that. And that's what our students find, because lots of the work of public servants go unnoticed. And we learned that a lot of the jobs people don't know about. And when they discover what those jobs are, again, light bulbs go off and people find those careers. And that's how we're going to rebuild Maryland public service. That's how we're going to rebuild Baltimore public service, the nation's public service, and the globe's public service. You heard today that there are vacancies all over the state and nation. What I didn't get a chance to tell you is ASPA, one of our associations, the American Society for Public Administration, tells us that there's over 1 million vacant jobs in government nationwide. And there are double-digit percentage vacancies in Maryland state government right now, and that trickles all the way down to local governments, cities, and towns. Governor Moore urged us in his inauguration week. He talked about capacity. He said, capacity is what makes government work. Capacity is wonderful government leaders, trained, inspired leaders, but it's also resources, and it's enough people to make those programs work. And he put down a very important challenge to our state, and we were taking it up. He put down an important challenge that we have to build and rebuild that capacity for Maryland state government. With that, I want to take a moment to introduce someone who's very special, and her work and her team's work has been on display all day today, and you're going to get a chance to hear a little bit more of it. I want to recognize and call to the podium Dr. Ann Cotton, who leads our Schaefer Center for Public Policy. Thank you, everyone, and thanks for attending.
Well, hello, everyone. Yay. This is the best time of the day. We get to honor Dr. Carla Hayden, which is going to be fabulous. I'm so happy you could be here with us today. And I get to take just a couple minutes to tell you about all the fabulous stuff we've done this year, thanks to support from Adrienne Jones and from Corey McCrae and from Dean Hartley, President Schmoke, all the staff at the Schaefer Center, and our wonderful advisory board. We've had a record year. So our impact is about investing in public managers. We do that with our Certified Public Manager Program, our Maryland Equity Inclusion Leadership Program. We also bring students into public service with our Schaefer Center Fellows Program, which all the staff here today up front, they're all graduate students at our Schaefer Center Fellows Program, moonlighting as support staff. And then our Next Gen Leaders for Public Service Program, which is a phenomenal initiative, and then our Applied Research and Technical Assistance. So our mission is to help government help people. We heard that was one of the Schaefer's great phrases, is government needs to help people, and that's what we do. And we do that by preparing leaders for public service through our professional development programs. We prepare students through applied research opportunities working with us in the Schaefer Center. They work on all the research projects that we do. Our students are our support staff, and they get great training for that. We inform decision makers through our applied research and consulting work, and promote public discourse through our conferences and events. So for technical assistance and research this year, we worked with Baltimore County government, the Maryland Legal Aid, Baltimore City. We're working on the evaluation of the American Rescue Plan project. We did work for United Way, Maryland Department of Transportation. The Biden School, we did strategic planning for them at the University of Delaware. We also did work for the Maryland General Assembly. We do a lot of work for the University of Baltimore and for Maryland Legal Services Corporation. So the breadth of the work that we do and the impact is significant. Our students, when they work with us, they get to work on 5 and 6 different research projects in a year, giving them an unparalleled experience to apply what they're learning in class to the real world. Our Certified Public Manager Program, which is so well represented here today, thank you, provides training for mid and upper level managers. It's a 300-hour nationally accredited program that covers all the core competencies of public sector management. So all those people who are here today in the Certified Public Manager Program have committed to spending 300 hours or more this year on this program. Their managers and their leadership have committed to sending them to the program, and thanks to the support that we received from the General Assembly, they can come at no cost. So the small towns in Maryland that can't afford to send someone to this program, they now can take advantage of that. The breadth of the program in terms of the reach of the state, local, and county government has been really impressive. There's only 37 Certified Public Manager programs in the country, and we're one of those. And we're the only one in Maryland. And a great opportunity from this program is when people complete the program, they earn the Certified Public Manager credential, but they also get a waiver for 6 credits into our Master's of Public Administration program. So it's a way for them to jumpstart their graduate career with us. The Certified Public Manager Program this year, we have enrolled 70 people from across the state. As you can see, we're from Western Maryland, Eastern Shore, Southern Maryland. We have the state covered, and it's really been terrific. Thanks to the support we received, our enrollment has grown 536% in 1 year, which is phenomenal. And we have 75% of Maryland jurisdictions represented in the program. And we'll be at Maryland Municipal League Conference and at the MACO Conference this year, trying to expand that even more. And we also have our Maryland Equity Inclusion Leadership Program, and Dr. Lori Naylor is here with us. She's one of our co-directors of the program. We offer this in conjunction with the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. It's an 8-week online synchronous, asynchronous program that covers all the core competencies related to equity and inclusion with a focus on the workplace and program service delivery. And then our Schaefer Center Graduate Fellows Program, which I talked a little bit about. Basically, we're applying academic rigor to contemporary public policy issues to help inform leaders to make better decisions. Our program is competitive. It's open to graduate and doctoral students, and it provides that applied research experience that's so richly needed for them to be prepared to go into public service and move on in their careers. Our Next Gen Leaders for Public Service program, as we heard from Emily Bolton. So for those of you who joined us late today, she flew in from New York this morning from the Volcker Alliance to be here on our panel. We really appreciate her and the support of the Volcker Alliance in this program. The Next Gen program offers academic preparation. So for students that don't have a degree in public service, we can do a non-credit certificate for them. We do paid public internships. As we've heard from Emily today, we're apparently rocking it across the country. We have more paid internships than anyone else in the Volcker Alliance Next Gen program, which is fabulous. We also offer co-curricular experiences, so we don't work in isolation. We work with other parts of the university. Our career center, student services, we're trying to bring a well-rounded, wrapped experience for our students. We also offer them connections, so they come as a cohort, they'll connect with each other, and they'll connect with other students across the country. Our Next Gen internships are open to juniors, seniors, and graduate students and law students. So we've placed a lot of law students this year. This is the first year that law students have been allowed to actually earn money for an externship. And they've done that through us at the Schaefer Center, which is terrific. They also can get course credit for it, and we're the only program in the country whose Next Gen program is open to graduate students. Usually they focus on undergraduate, but we are open to graduate students. Our paid public service internships. This year we placed 79 students. You can see from the slide we have a breadth of state and local jurisdictions and agencies that we've been working with to have Next Gen students. Our community development internships, we're placing students in community development organizations in Baltimore. We've placed about 30 students there, and we have a whole host of agencies, organizations we're working with, some of which are here today. So by residents, we have 79 students we've placed. They live primarily in central Maryland, primarily Baltimore City, Baltimore County, but you can see it's the breadth of the center of the swath of the state. And we have conferences and events like this one today, which has been terrific. We also host candidate forums and then speaker series. So Dean Hartley spoke about this earlier. We have our Voices of Public Service. This is a great program because it actually allows students to hear from public officials kind of in a personal way about their public service journey in a conversation they would never have with them otherwise. So we appreciate everyone who's participated in that. And that concludes our year in review. It was like the speed version of it, get us back on track. But I am super appreciative of everyone who supported the Schaefer Center. I think that we've done great work with the help of so many partners, and we look forward to doing that in the future. And with that, I'd like to call Mike Golden up to the podium.
Thank you, Ann. Before I get into the presentation, I want to channel William Donald Schaefer just briefly. Why are we here? Why is this important? One word: helping people. Got it out of my system. That was for my fellow Schaefer folks. Well, one person that exemplifies helping people is this year's recipient of the William Donald Schaefer Award, Dr. Carla Hayden, Librarian of Congress. And you know that's two words, right? Yeah. Dr. Hayden served as the CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library for 23 years until her nomination as Librarian of Congress by President Obama in 2016. In her work as the CEO of Enoch Pratt Library, one of the oldest free libraries in the country, Dr. Hayden embodied William Donald Schaefer's concern and commitment to the people of Baltimore and Maryland. Dr. Hayden was appointed at CEO of the Enoch Pratt Library in 1993. During her second year at the Pratt, she was named Librarian of the Year by Library Journal. How about that, huh? We all have subscriptions. Dr. Hayden understands the importance of libraries to communities, not only for the access to information they provide, often to people who would not otherwise have such access, but also a community institution. For many residents, a library is the tangible representation of government in her community. Dr. Hayden focused on modernizing the Pratt Library system. Under her leadership, the Enoch Pratt Library became the first library in Maryland to offer free internet service. She expanded access to computers across the system. She invited lawyers to visit neighborhood branches to advise patrons on civil legal issues and record expungements. She reinvigorated the children's library and even brought in dogs to serve as the audience for children to practice reading. I read to my cats. They don't pay attention. She created the Book Buggy, which took books to daycares and facilities for new mothers around Baltimore. Also under her leadership, the Pratt built its first new branch in over 30 years. She led the effort to renovate and restore the main branch of the Pratt system. That renovation, which was just starting as she was nominated as Librarian of Congress. The renovation focused on facilities and infrastructure, but also architecture and function. Under her leadership, the Pratt planned a new teen and young adult wing, as well as a job and career center and more community meeting space. In 2015, during the protests in the aftermath of the death of Freddie Gray, Dr. Hayden made the decision to keep the Pennsylvania Avenue branch of the Enoch Pratt Library open throughout the protest, even though the library was at the epicenter of the turmoil and was surrounded by National Guard troops. In an interview with American Library shortly after the event, Dr. Hayden said of her decision to keep the branch open, quote, "In a lot of communities in Baltimore, especially challenged ones, we are the only resource. If we close, we're sending a signal that we're afraid or that we aren't going to be available when times are tough. We should be open, especially when times are tough." Dr. Hayden is also a champion of privacy rights. During her tenure as president-elect and president of the American Library Association, she led the fight against the library records provision of the Patriot Act. This provision would have given the government the right to access patrons' library records without a warrant. In 2016, Dr. Hayden was nominated by Barack Obama as Librarian of Congress, where she is the first woman and first African American to hold that position. She is also the first professional librarian to hold that position since 1974. She has made access to the materials in the Library of Congress one of her main priorities. I'm sure that Governor Schaefer would agree with the award selection committee that Dr. Hayden is most deserving of the 2023 William Donald Schaefer Award. I would now like to invite President Schmoke to the stage to say a few words about our honoree.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, Nancy, you see they had me next to you. I was reluctant to give the award. I was going to take it myself at the time, but thank you, Dr. Grasmick, for being here. I had the honor of being mayor when Dr. Hayden became our librarian, but the real force behind all this, getting her here, was Bob Hillman and Tyson Tilden. They were the people that sneaked into Chicago and brought an outstanding leader. And Carla, we joke about this from time to time, that after Bob and Tyson had cut the deal and brought her here, Mayor Daley was at a conference with me and said, you know, I'm looking for a librarian. Do you think there's one around? And said, yeah, it was in your town. And we now have her, but it was just so wonderful to have a transformative leader to come into the community, to lift up what, of course, was one of the great institutions in the country, the Enoch Pratt Free Library. But she went from better to best and just continued on to make this such a valuable resource for our community. So we're also proud, and we continue to be proud every day when we see that the Librarian of Congress is Dr. Carla Hayden. We call her a townie now. And so it's really my pleasure, Dr. Hayden, to bring you up to receive this award from the William Donald Schaefer Center for Public Policy.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you. And I still call you, you're my mayor, Mayor Schmoke, for that wonderful and generous introduction. And I have to just pause here before I continue on my prepared remarks, because seeing familiar faces, seeing people who were so instrumental in having me stand here today has made me a little kerplump. And I've had to add a few things as I see, oh gosh, there's Teresa Solanskis. Oh my God. Dr. Nancy Grasmick just walked in, big hug, all of this. I knew it was going to be good when I saw Lainey LeBeau Sachs at the bank the other day. And she was still plotting and pushing, and I showed her, and I'll show others the photos I brought of 20 pounds ago, yes, Speaker Jones, and lots of hairdos when I saw and first met Governor Schaefer. So, Mayor Schmoke, I just want to take this opportunity, though, to thank you for believing in me and saying Carla Hayden can bring the Pratt Library even farther, and also giving Mayor Daley a little rub, too. That was something, because in Chicago, that's a big deal for you. But you're a shining example of the importance of public service, and continue to do that in your work at the University of Baltimore. So I just want to thank you personally in front of everybody for bringing me here. Now, full disclosure, though, there was a temptation to go to the City That Reads. And in fact, when I first got to Baltimore, I said, wow, look at all these library trucks. Everything has City That Reads on it. I found out that every city vehicle had that on there, and they did not belong to the library. But the honor of receiving this award, especially with the other awardees that some I knew quite well, and Dr. Grasmick in particular, I had an opportunity to meet and interact with the governor during the last parts of his tenure, and Lainey made sure that happened, in fact. I knew about his legendary commitment to public service, and in fact, I was somewhat intimidated. And Bob recalls that. The first time the governor came to the Pratt Library, I was worried, and I'd heard about his famous thing of go find the car that's broken down. I won't tell you where. And everybody in town was looking for the car. So I'd heard about his Clean Up Baltimore, and I was telling everybody we've got to make sure the building is clean, even though we need the capital to renovate it. But I knew about that. But he quickly, and Lainey helped with this, engaged with me about the importance of the Pratt Library in particular, but libraries in general and what they could be, and was a frequent visitor to the Pratt Library, and I knew that can-do spirit. He also encouraged me as the head of the Enid Pratt Free Library and the library community, and that's where being in what the country calls library heaven, Maryland, was because of another person, Dr. Nancy Grasmick. Libraries were under and the Department of Education, and she took a particular interest in making sure that we were part of the education network and supported us in many ways. Speaker Jones, I have to say, was very supportive, not only of the library community, but the Pratt Library's efforts to get renovated. She just recalled the times I would go to the courthouse, Baltimore County, to meet with her because she was the head of the State Appropriations Capital Committee. And year after year, I would be there. And so I thank you for having faith in us. But I have to also say, I did have a secret weapon with all of the efforts, and that was Bob Hillman. He was aided by Sandy Hillman, but Bob Hillman, first board chair, and his mantra was, just do it. I said, but Bob, you know, they never, do it. Ask for forgiveness later. Well, Bob, I take these things, do it. And then he would say, and don't forget, no good deed goes unpunished. So I found a pillow down in Annapolis on one of the many trips in one of the shops that said that. I was intending to give it to Bob, but I ended up keeping it. And it's been worn, and I've had it all these years, and worn to the point that I've taken it, and it now is in a frame. And it's still in my office, no good deed. So thank you, Bob Hillman. I want to give you a hand, because you did it. He would also step away when things got a little, she did it. But no, Bob is wonderful. So my journey here, and I have to say, and some of you know, the person that I have to always give credit to is my mom. My real journey to public service that manifested itself in librarianship began early with my mother, who has worked in social work in the city of Chicago. And I'd be an elementary school student in the back of the room at public meetings that she organized. She was in human services, they called it there. And while I'm doing my homework in the back, I would listen to citizens go to the mic, expressing their frustrations, their desires, their needs for housing, for health services, for all of these types of things. And then my mom would have it organized with each city service and government service with tables. And as the person left, and sometimes they left the microphone, and sometimes they were very upset after they had testified, there would be a person there to take them to the appropriate table and the appropriate person. So hearing and knowing and thinking, what could I do in terms of my love of libraries and the power of information to help people in all of their ways. And so at Pratt, yes, we had all types of services. The virtual supermarket wasn't mentioned. We had groceries delivered while people were getting their computer. This was in the early days of the internet. Learning how to use computers. You could also order in food deserts in the city your groceries. All of these types of things really came out of learning about that. And just to let you know how ingrained it was, yes, when the library stayed open during the unrest, the decision to close or not to close was really of the public librarians that said we have to be open because the community needs us. And I knew that one thing you couldn't do as a leader in public service is to ask people to do something you wouldn't do. And so I said, yes, I'll be there the next morning. And I also did something that many of you know. You wait until the last minute to tell your parent that you're going to do something that you think that they wouldn't like. So fires, it's on CNN, it's the cities, all of this stuff, and I knew I was going down to Penn North to be there with the library staff. So I waited that last 5 minutes to tell my mom, who by this time had moved with me to Baltimore. And all she said was, bring some paper towels and water, because people, you don't know what you're going to see. And by the second day, she was sitting at the desk with all kinds of things and fruit and everything, and doing that social service thing. So I just want to say I'm not only sharing this wonderful award with my library colleagues throughout this state and really the country, but also to the person who taught me what public service could really be and what should be. She would have been here with me today. She's 91 now, but I will report everything, including to her, because she's busy calling and making sure that things are ready for some other kind of event and public service that she's still involved in, even far away. So thank you so much to giving me this opportunity to say how much this means to be able to be recognized for public service and in honor of William Downer Schaefer.
Thank you, Dr. Hayden. I can't think of someone who's more deserving of this award. This concludes our formal program. It seems like lots of people like to connect, so if you want to stay a little bit, that's fine. Also, we have the book signing back in the lobby, so for those of you who didn't get your copy yet, Mike's going to go back out and man the table. And thank you so much for coming here today. I really appreciate it.